Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Forsaken Council Season 3, Episode 29. And this week's show is post-raid review, new FM changes, and VXP weekend. And today I'm joined so far by Mark. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? You all right?
I'm doing pretty good. And Liam should be joining us here in a little bit.
He's always late. He's driving back from work.
Okay. What is this work you speak of? But lots and lots have happened this week. We've got some slides to go through here in just a minute, but I did want to mention two things up front. The first thing is that some of you have noticed this and some of you may not have gotten there yet, is that the Facebook page now has this thing called announcements instead of pinned posts. And so apparently I don't have Facebook on my phone. It invades my life enough, but apparently if you're on a telephone or a cell phone, you now have to click on the left-hand menu side of the Facebook to click announcements to see those. So if you're not seeing any pinned posts, this is why. The pinned posts or the announcements, that's where we post all of the links to our shows and any important information about the system being down or changes or those types of things. And the second thing that I did want to talk about was that I've just posted this on the Facebook page, but Wrong Thinker, who is the newest lead developer of Battle Pirates, has introduced himself on the forums. He does have a post out there where he's kind of gone over some of the things and reiterated a couple of the things that Will Harbin has spoken about, and we've got slides about that in the show. But take a moment to read that. He and Robot will be on the Facebook Battle Pirate Show Rampage Reports this week. So if you haven't had a chance to read that, take a couple minutes and take a look at that. He's made some interesting points.
Yeah, good news. Just out of interest, quickly, I'll just say today's show, okay, is the first anniversary of Robin's sort of raid reviews. This is the 12th one, so there we go. Well, and without saying too much more, let's get into some slides, shall we? So you just click on me. You don't have to present, but at least click on me, and then we should be up and going. Are we ready?
I guess it helps if you unmute yourself. Okay, there we go. We should be seeing the slides now. Content for today, we've got, of course, the July raid preview. We've got VXP weekend coming up this weekend. We had some interesting releases this week. We had hardware acceleration. We also have the FM changes that have started this week. We got the Lion's Mane TLC, and then of course we have the letter from Will Harbin, who is the founder and CEO of Battle Pirates proper. And then we've got a couple of bug fixes. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Supremacy. Wow, it was an interesting raid, at least for me. Sans mouse the first 2 days, so I kind of scrambled on mine. But
yeah, you weren't ranting much, were you?
No, I wasn't. And the sad part was that when I broke my mouse, it wasn't in anger. It was a complete accident. So I didn't even get any enjoyment out of it. But anywho, target high points payout. So this was kind of static from the last release. We had, it was 4 million for the bonus for the sets. For the tier 8s, they did increase the tier 7 by about 300k points. If you remember on the last raid, there was only 2 targets, and instead of the 3 for the A set. But this time they added in the 87, and then they added in, I think it was about 300k in increase in points, so that was good. Players with half-built fleets were able to grind gazillions of points on lower targets. This one wasn't as good as it has been in some of them in the past. Unfinished Manti fleets were really underperforming in some of the lower targets. I don't know if you had a chance, Mark, to take your Mantis in some of the lower ones, but I threw mine in on a couple and was taking huge amounts of damage.
I did, and then I stopped very quickly. I don't know why, but yeah. I mean, so in that stream that I did in the first hour, I went and got the Apollos. Literally, it was a $5 job, and I thought, do you know what? I'll just go and get them. And I managed to do the basic target, and the next one's up just with driving, obviously, in the 60s, and I managed the basic one as well. Then I managed to do the 60s for 22 minutes fix using my Skyfires. No, not my Skyfires, using my Phoenixes. Skyfires I didn't get to use, actually. And then I actually tried the Phoenixes, because I fit them with Stingers. I actually managed to do the 80 set as well. It was trashed at the end, but I did manage to do it just out of principle. I thought I'd give it a go, and they survived. And then I did a couple of, obviously, the top level tier 8 stuff. And did it okay in the end, to be honest. It took a lot of working around, and yeah, I wasn't happy with the fluctuation of damage, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But in general, tried every target, and it was in that, like I say, that raid stream, which I did for the first hour. That's why I was in Alpha World, basically.
Okay. Players able to use the last cycle assault fleets on the lower tier targets. I did actually go out with just like the flags, and I was able to complete like the 41s with just the Phoenix or just the Skyfire flag. But folks that were using like the gut spills with 2 Skyfires, a half built, maybe not fully charged armor, or someone who had like 2 or 3 of the gut spills were still again taking an awful lot of damage.
For me, because of my ult, I was just using Skyfires and nothing else, and I noticed I could manage to do 2 sets of 60s, and I was actually using a speed crew. What's the one that's like we fix it? It's like 3 coins, just 20 seconds double speed, sort of right at the start, one of the really, really low level ones. And I was then basically doing two full sets of 60s, which is nearly 1 million points roughly, because that's a hit down multiplier, because it's level 100 now. But then just going in and fixing the Skyfire only, the flag. The Greta one, and then that was like 2 coin, and then going back out and just letting the other one stay at the 75% health all the time. So it was 2 coin per million. Not brilliant. I got 37 million on that account there. So it was doable, but nothing fantastic. But it was a low crew and a low fleet. So I just thought I'd give it a go to see what it was like.
Yeah. So I know they were tuning targets to make them. And I don't want to say for specific fleets, but they wanted to make sure that lower fleets could still do the lower targets, and I think there could be some improvement in there, because even though if you missed out on the Skyfire a year ago when it was released, they did do the TLCs for those just recently, but not in enough time for people to kind of get a full fleet out for the first and maybe the second raid. So maybe they could think of releasing that stuff earlier.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. It is what it is, but it's not good. Oh, this bit, yes.
Really see an increase in that from the last raid. It was kind of static for me. I'm not saying that I like spending money for points, but it wasn't like all of a sudden it was 15 coins to complete a set. And then thank you to Mark for the graphics on this one. Damage consistency. Not so much this time around. It was the first night from what I was reading, people were doing okay. And then it was like, less than 24 hours later, there was like this bump in damage. And it wasn't like somebody hit 1 out of 10 targets and the one target was causing extra damage. It was consistently after a certain amount of time, there was more damage. There was also damage increases towards the end. I know when I finally did get a chance to start, I was pretty consistent autoing the 106s with the Manties with missiles, and then right at the end of the raid, I kind of had an epiphany and said, "Oh bugger, I got to get all that armor." And so I went in there and hit out more targets for the shards and for the specials, and I saw an increase there.
Yeah, do you know what it felt like to me? I mean, initially, right at the very early start, it was pretty flat and quite sort of like consistent for a first couple of hours. And all of a sudden, it just seemed like somebody had gone off shift. The night shift had turned up, but he brought his kids and he went, "Oh, go over there and play with that." And it was the damage control sliders, and it just felt like, oh, let's just whack these up and down a little bit, and let's move around the targets, and let's really just generally piss everybody off. And I just stopped playing. Literally, I just went, I'm sacking this, and I didn't do any more for 24 hours until it calmed down. I gave it a couple of targets test 24 hours later, and I thought, yeah, it's back to a reasonable sort of level. So then I carried on, but I literally just stopped because it was just people were getting like 4 times the amount of damage, then twice the amount of damage, and it didn't seem to matter what target you were going in either. It just went nuts for a period of time. And they can contest what they like, and we all know that they definitely fluctuate the damage as the raid progresses once the stats start coming in, so they get their set return. It's a company, I get that, but flipping heck, you took the mickey this time from me. That's what I thought. Anyway, that's me. So were we happy? No, we flipping were not. I'm not sure if we lost her mic. She might have lost her mic or not.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
All right, that's okay.
The points per tier. I did add the column in this time around that showed the actual set bonus for the tier 8 slot, tier 8 sets, and so we went ahead and included that, and it does show there that we had that increase of 300k for those targets. They've been pretty stable with the tier 6 targets. One thing that we did notice this time around, and there were a couple of posts about this, it looked like they may have actually upped the limit for points reduction. There were some people that posted that they were able to go ahead at a higher level, still get the higher points. So I'm not sure, I haven't got any definitive proof of that, but apparently, that seemed to be a little bit higher.
Oh, the slides seem to disappear. I'm not quite sure why. Why is that then? Let me have a quick look.
There we go.
They disappeared for some reason. There we go. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. So yeah, 300k increase on the tier 7. Tier 6 was pretty stable. Tier 5 was stable. The set bonus and the elite for the last 2 raids has been stable as well.
Yeah, we'll summarize something at the end because someone just said something in chat that I actually 100% agree with. But yeah, so good on the T7, slight lift there. But it's only relevant based on the damage, isn't it? Because if it's a few more points, but it's a lot more damage, then it's actually no more points in terms of getting prizes for coins spent. But yeah.
Some good and bad. Again, still no generic tokens. I think this is like the 3rd raid now, so I'm thinking that we're probably not going to see them come back. New tech limited to the elite targets only. Of course, there were shards the last raid for, I think it was the armor and then the hyperextension. And then this time around, we had Missile Defense System 3 and, what was the other thing? Losing it. But anyway, so shards are tied to the elite targets. Elite targets are on the map and then they roll off. And so if a player can't do those elite targets, I'm not sure where or how they're going to be able to go ahead and get those in the future. So hopefully we'll see those, in the game somewhere else. Again, there were no campaigns. I think we're pretty much going to not see those anymore. And so we'll go ahead and remove that. Locked and limited blueprints and tokens. This is something that's talked about an awful lot. We've gone through this with multiple. They've kind of, I don't want to say halfway, but they have made concessions. For example, like the Manti tokens, they put the Manti tokens, a couple of those down the bottom, but the bulk of that stuff is still up and behind closed doors unless you're able to go ahead and have all of your fleets built and complete all of those targets. And there was a lot that was up there this time. We had tokens for flags, we had them for the Inferno, we had Defender tokens, we had Conqueror tokens. There was an awful lot that was up there. And even, like I said, I've totally forgotten, didn't even catch that the armor was limited. And so I had to go back late, right before the end of the raid, and finish a bunch more targets to go ahead and complete those. So, I like having a lot of prizes, but I don't like feeling like I'm forced to have to go out there and get a gazillion points because, oh my gosh, I may miss this, key piece of tech.
Shinies, yeah. What do you think, Robin? Do you think it's better to have a plethora of tokens like we did? Because it felt like a bit like a tech store raid to me to this. When I looked in the store, I was like, good God, look at that lot there. I think, well, okay, I don't need everything in there. But there are certain individuals that maybe, probably wanted a few things and then felt that way to, be enticed into the area. Couldn't they just, if you added them all up, it was sort of like, it was like 40 tokens roughly of each one. I don't know if it wouldn't be better just to put like 20 Conqueror, 20, Defender, and 15 freaking normal everyday PvE tokens in, and just leave the 3 lines in there, and then people can just use them for what they want.
Yeah, the generics would be great because then that way, you can use them, and even, I don't want to say limits, but even if you limited how many you could get, if it's a 3-day token, if you want them used, in one hit, then a 3-day token kind of thing. But it is. And I know I heard this from players in my alliance, and I know I heard this from other people. It's very hard when the stuff is up there and is essentially out of reach. And it's not that players are not willing to go out there and get them. Yes, there are people that are prepped, but there are a lot more people that are willing to go out there and grind out the points There were a couple out there that got 40, 50, 60 million just by hitting one target out of the 60s, and the same thing for hitting the one particular target that they could get in the A set. And they were perfectly happy to go out and grind the points. And if they've got like the skies and that, then they're limited to what they can get at the bottom.
Yeah, and as you mentioned in chat as well, there again, there are a couple of items like the Manti and that sort of stuff, and the Protos, where 10 is the maximum you can obtain anyway. So I couldn't get any tokens this time because I already had 10. So I couldn't even bother trying to get. I didn't bother because I'd have lost them. So there's no point collecting things when you can't stack them up. So I hate that 10 limit. All the rest say 99, and just those certain fleets are stacked at 10, which is really not helpful when you don't do testing and then refits, as I've just done literally on the Dragon fleet now for the FM. I've just done quite a lot. That's what I've been doing for the last 4 hours, is testing targets and testing builds. I used up a stack of. I even bought 15 days worth of tokens to do that today.
Yeah, and Andrew Cuttlefish just brought up a really good point. They put the Proto Tideseeker stuff in the lock store, and you need the Proto Tideseeker to be able to complete the SSRB. So, and that is definitely something that needs to be looked at. If it's for a key component, critical piece of the game, aka dragons, protos, things that are needed for the weekly chores to be able to stay with the game, then that absolutely should be down below and not in the lock store.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I did like, though, that this time they included Mankara tokens. I think this is the first time we've seen the flag token for the flagship of the current raid. However, of course, that also was locked behind the lock store. But I was happy to see those tokens, because it did allow me to do a quick refit instead of using my FM tokens that I had saved up.
And as was chatted at the weekend, it would be nice if the flagship for the Mantis was actually down the bottom and just let but what they'd done. I think they should have put the previous PvP hull on the table this time, because it's 2 weeks after the bounty, and they've done that before. They should put that on one side, and they should put the flagship for the Gret on the other side. Be able to gain both, because you could get both if you wanted to, and then just put the flagship on the unlocked bit down the bottom, because that's all some people wanted. It was frustrating, to be honest.
Well, and I understand the tree, because they want you to get like the really cool stuff. They want you to complete the tree, so that you essentially do more targets and potentially spend more time. And that's, kind of end game stuff, high level. If you're at that level, you should be able to get to the lock store anyway. But if it's something that's not end game high level, and it's something that is critical to the current game, then they need to make it available for everybody. A couple of bugs that we had, and I ran into this myself a couple times. Random death on auto, both on the map targets and on the mobile HQ app. And I know other people reported it. All of a sudden, their fleet was just dead and heading back to their dock. I don't know if it was an AI issue. Obviously, I wasn't watching on the app, so I couldn't see that. But there was twice, I think, when my fleet crashed and burned for like on the second target, and normally, I could get like 6 or 7 of them. So I'm not sure what happened there. There were some spawn issues on the elite targets at the beginning of the raid. They did get that corrected, but I know there were people that were anxious and couldn't find targets on the map. There were some people that were also reporting a lack of targets on the map, but I'm not sure if that's just because they were in a very busy sector and, the targets were being snapped up.
Frustrating. Yeah.
Okay. There were also some Katie's issues that were reported. My understanding was if you watched the battle, you didn't have any issues, but if you weren't watching the battle, sometimes it would not spawn the drones, and so people's ships were just basically getting eviscerated. So there were a couple of those that were reported. And then we've reported on this one a couple of times. The sunken ships were still causing targeting movement issues. And if you actually watch the ship, if you had selected ship A and you killed it, and you didn't select another target, you could actually watch the little orange box follow the ship down to the bottom of the ocean, and then you can't click anywhere there. So later on, if you drive over that, it kind of ballsed up where you were driving. Yeah,
if you did a select all and then press S, the auto target thing, they just went to those ships as well sometimes, which is just dumb. But yeah.
And then some crews, as reported last time, some of the lower end crews seem to be performing better than the higher version. I used Grease Monkeys and I used the demo squads, and both of those, I did fine with those, and they worked really well. I did not get a chance to do any other ones. I think you said you were using Steelheads.
Yeah, I was, and only if it's literally, because obviously you don't get corrosive, but you do get the pen. And it was that I was trying to counter, and it was helpful. It wasn't completely perfect, but I was trying to keep away from some of the really, really big ones and that sort of stuff, just to see if it made a huge amount of difference. And they were, you know, I tried the Evade Crew, I tried Steelheads, I tried a couple of different ones. Steelheads in general worked quite well. Here is Liam99.
And there's Liam.
Hiya, guys. How's it going?
Hey, we're doing good, mate. Okay. We're still on raid targets, raid slides, so we're doing all right.
Okay, right.
How was your raid, Liam?
Yeah, it was fairly stress-free, to be honest, for the most part, because I just autopiloted it. So,
did you use a BP app?
Pretty much mostly, because I was working all weekend, quite long days as well. So I didn't really have a great deal of free time for it. But in all fairness, I only spent about 3 or 4 hours in total, probably. So.
Yeah, well, did you get what you wanted though? Did you?
Yeah, I think I did like about 300 million. So, yeah, I mean, I just 300 million on autopilot. Pick what I wanted at the end. I mean, it was stress-free, painless, and I think I got everything I could possibly get and some tokens. So, yeah.
Oh, good.
Good news. Right. Okay, we'll go to the next slide.
Okay. Next one we've got is VXP. You want to take this one, Mark?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Okay, so we've got the assault style targets that are out there, which is the 55s. They're the normal ones, and obviously the 105s, which are the raid style targets. Again, they're out for the first, obviously, 36 hours. So that's 9 a.m. Friday, obviously kickside time, until Saturday at 9 p.m. Normal things that obviously, as around the spawn towers, you get the ones with the little sort of question marks around them. They're really, really good actually for ranking up your raid fleets. I have to say, it doesn't take long. Once the 105s have disappeared, you can actually do some pretty good stuff by nipping around. And I was doing some testing. You can get several real good high levels, you know, by using just a double salty or triple salty crew and just running around, because you don't get hit. You can outrun and outrange nearly everything in all bar 2 of those targets. So it doesn't take long to knock up some points. If you do miss that stuff in the first 36 hours, it's not too bad. Bear in mind, obviously, if you manage to hit those 105s and you kill a darn thing off, then as it says at the bottom there on the notes, you do get the 10k, obviously, Defender class VXP token, which is nice, because that's the one that's a bit of a nose to rank up. The one for the Conquerors, obviously, you can research using obviously titanium in your mega hull, mega ship like, but you can't with the Defenders. So
yeah, they are great, and in fact, I love it. You know, I'll get on like late at night on Friday night, you know, like 1 o'clock in the morning when everybody's either gone to bed or off doing other stuff, and I'll run around and clean up all of the half hit targets that are sitting out there. So, but yeah, it's really cool to be able to instantly rank a Defender hull and not have to worry about research or that kind of stuff.
yeah, there shouldn't be too much to rank this weekend, to be honest, because we haven't had a huge amount. I mean, people will be doing, obviously, those that I know, because we saw on the page, some people have just been getting the mantis, you know, and that sort of stuff. Clearly, most people that have got it will be doing that. Obviously, the flagship for the FM. I built mine, no armor, so, you know, I was dragging it around with everyone.
Same. Don't forget the Ifrits mark as well.
Yeah, I've not built one yet, mate.
I've got
for that one.
I've got 3 built, but I had enough tokens to do like 1.5, because I used tokens on impacts as well. So,
all right,
yeah, and you know, and just a note on the VXP, and we'll talk about this here in just a minute. They've added the dragon and all of its toys to the FM, and we've had a couple of posts today, and hopefully people have taken notice of it. You know, don't go throw a fully built dragon in and try and build the whole thing. You know, build the hull with just a couple of weapons, or the rare version with just a thud on it, so that you can rank that this weekend, and then you can put it back in afterwards and refit, and you may actually, with a couple of tokens from the FM, be able to get a couple of them done. Because rank is key on boats, with your antis as well as your weapons. And so if you're running around with brand new ships with no rank, you know, it's going to hurt. But even if you've got 2 ships with full rank, that's, you know, a lot better than 4 without.
Definitely, yeah. We'll talk about hitting targets in a minute. I experienced some interesting stuff today, hitting targets. Yeah. Right, okay. So that's VXP. Okay. Hardware acceleration.
Yes, Kick's released this week. Hardware acceleration is the 3D beta. It's their first step in improving performance of battle pirates by leveraging the graphics processor unit, the GPU, and that's inside your computer. It will improve the performance and will be seen for some players. So this is the first step of this. And obviously they're going to monitor this and see how it affects. There is a post that is on the forums. If you could drop to the next one, Mark. There's a post that's on the forums that they have provided which walks you through how to do this. Don't just randomly go out there and click buttons and go, woohoo, off you go, because if you do have an older computer, you may cause some instability, not just with the game, but also with other programs. So you want to make sure that you read that before you do it. There are also some steps that you have to do within Chrome if they're not already done in order for this to work as well. And so not everybody is seeing performance gains. I know I am, and I have a crappy old 5K NVIDIA driver card, don't judge me, on a backup PC. And I've seen a lot of improvement, but it does use a lot of memory. And so, you know, I don't run anything else while I'm playing Battle Pirates, but I have seen significant increases. And of course, the boost is dependent on how much your graphics hardware can handle. Users with graphics cards such as which support textures of 4K will get much better gains than cards that support, you know, maximum size of like 2K and so on and so forth. So the best thing is to, you know, try it out and see if it works better for you or on your machine. You want to follow the steps first to do this so that you know what order in order to get it up and running, and then take a look at it. And then if it doesn't work, turn it off. You know, if it is dragging your system down, you have the opportunity to leave it off, except for maybe during the raid time when you really do need that precision in control and view. But for those that it is helping, it's a lot clearer. Map movement is clearer. You know, boom booms in the targets are much clearer. You know, I'm really liking it.
Yeah, it's interesting that some of the items actually, like rolling for crews, as you know, Ford's just said there, it's brilliant. You know, that lag you used to get between each one as it popped up, it just zips through and zips through and zips through. But like, I can't do playback for some reason. You know, you want the battle hit and that sort of stuff. I think, I can't remember what somebody come and hit me today. Hang on, who was it? Venom's like SDS7. That's it. And I can't watch the playback and that stuff, so I can't learn from it. I'll probably have to go back and turn the graphics accelerator off. It just nothing happens. You know, so there are some issues that are really good. Some of the targets I've noticed that some people out there getting obviously some of the on the C targets there, and the Scourge ones, everything was already popped up. It was really weird. You know, you go in and had a little pop, and then all the turrets were there, so you weren't sure if they were popping up, about to pop up. And I thought somebody had actually been in and looked at the target, but they hadn't, because it went into a few, and everything was already out. So it was really odd. So you know, it's stage one. I get that, but certain aspects, yeah, I do like it. You know, and hopefully they'll keep tuning it and that stuff and making it worthwhile. But yeah. Just for rolling crews, just turn it on for that. I mean, I think you can turn it back off again anyway. So I will try and turn it off and then see if I can watch battles back again, that sort of stuff. But
yeah, and it's pretty quick to turn on and off. I mean, it's not like this huge mess that you have to go through.
Yeah. So talking of that, yes.
Yeah. So of course it's oh, we've lost the slides, Mark. There we go.
How's that?
It is located in the effects section of your settings. So that's where you turn off your clouds and the music and all that other fun stuff. So you turn it on there. It runs through the check. If you get through the check with all check marks, then you're good to go. If you don't, obviously it's not going to work. You turn it on, it'll reboot your game for you, refresh your game for you, and then you can go in. And if you have the computer power to do so, and you have enough gerbils under the hood, you can go ahead and set it to 60 frames per second. Otherwise, it's capped at 30 frames per second.
Yeah, Liam, have you got yours switched on? Have you had a look at it yet? Had a chance?
Yeah, I mean, I just turned it all on. Do you know what I mean?
Boom.
Yeah, you know me. I like to turn things on, but no, I you know, when it popped up on after the update, I clicked it on. You know, it said yes to everything on my screen, and yeah, I noticed great improvements. I mean, graphically, it looked better. I put the frame rate counter on screen so I could see how it was going, and it felt better. It felt faster. I went and hit a 103 scores grid because normally they're actually quite a laggy thing to hit, and I wanted to see how it would perform in there. And yeah, I mean, overall, I noticed a huge improvement in the speed of the game. You know, how I could load things on the world map. You know, when you're on the map and you're scrolling around looking for bases to hit and whatnot, and sometimes it's just like blank sea for ages. I was noticing that things were loading up quicker for me on the C as well. I don't know if that it was meant to be or not meant to be, but just overall, it was just a whole improvement.
Yeah, it is. I was just looking in chat there. It's funny. Someone just said, "What? There's music?" Yeah. Does anybody still play with the music turned on in Battle Pirates? Because I don't know if anybody does. Because
well, see, the original soundtrack I think was much better. They changed the music, didn't they, about 4 years ago? But I tell you one thing I did notice when I was tinkering with some of these settings is the clouds. I forgot that we had clouds.
Oh, on the OpenSea, yeah.
So I put the clouds on. I thought, well, why not? Let's try some clouds.
I test everybody to go and play the game for half an hour with the music going, and see if you've actually sanity at the end of it.
Yeah.
So obviously, it doesn't take much to amuse Liam with clouds.
Well,
hey, we're blokes. Simple things in life.
Yeah, we're simple creatures, Robin. But the clouds were cool, and yeah, no, overall massive. Even like in base, simple things like when your turret spins around and stuff, like that generally was quite a laggy thing. Like your turrets move, and even when your base isn't being hit, and it just everything seemed to be moving around fast and responsive, and clicking sub screens and the user interface. Everything just seemed to be more, I don't know, faster and smoother.
It's a good start. It's a good start, I think. There are a couple of issues, but they're keeping an eye on it. They said, and
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone, but on my PC, it's been great. But I know I've not tried it on my laptop, so maybe I should try it on my laptop and see how, because the laptop's much worse. So maybe. I
did see a lot of people complain when they were using puffing on their phones and said it made no difference, which I thought was funny.
I was just about to say that. I did notice that there was a puffing issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. Should we move on?
Yep. There have been some bugs that have reported with this. Of course, we touched on a couple of them. First off is the Scourge base parts. You jump into the target and they're already surfaced. Apparently, it doesn't make a difference to being on order or how things react. I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but that one was identified. Playback, of course, was identified. I noticed my battle log. It's like the first time I try and load my battle log, it craps out, but then if I refresh the next time, it's fine. And this one was thanks to Venom. Poor Venom went out there to hit bases right after he turned it on, and apparently with the hardware acceleration on, you couldn't see portals or gates. And so everybody was watching him in my sector, because that's where he's at right now, doing absolutely nothing because his fleet couldn't see the gates. So that's another issue. And then we also have, and there's an image there of levitating rockets.
Egon, what's its face's rocket? It's coming down, not going up, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I can't. Don't worry, it's fine. No worries.
Yeah, it's the landing one, isn't it? It's not taken off. It's the return to the base station thing. Anyway, good.
And just a note, this is in beta. It's a pretty big change. I know it's one they've been working on for months and testing for months. So we're going to have teething issues. It's not expected to work perfectly out of the gate as much as we'd like that to be. So if you see something that is unusual that you don't normally see, and you do have hardware accelerator turned on, and some of these may actually not be due to that. They may just be, regular issues. But if you do see something funky, go ahead and send in a ticket with the applicable screenshots. We know they're watching performance issues and things like that, but they're not going to be able to catch everything. So, if you see something, send it in.
Yeah, funky. I like that term. That's good. Right. Okay, cool. Right, moving on to the July FM updates.
I'm going to punt this one to you, seeing as you've been playing in them all day.
Yeah, I've had a bit of fun, actually. I must admit, I managed to get home at a reasonable time today. So literally, I managed to hit it right from the off. And I was in a pretty reasonable position. And then literally, as you refreshed, all of a sudden, some tokens popped up. So me being me, I just thought, well, go on, I'll give it a go. So 121s, don't like the 121, to be honest. It seems to be the one that gives you more damage. Or does so far anyway. But I did 4 or 5 121s, came in at roughly about 3 coin-ish, there sort of thing, just over an hour and a half is what I was getting consistently. And that was with, believe it or not, the flagship dragging it behind 2 normal ships, so just 3 ships in the fleet. And I was messing around with armors, and because like I said, I did buy some tokens, and then I just all the charge armor. Then I put 2 of the new armor and dropped off 2 charge, and then I put on, and I ended up with 4 of the new armors and 1 charge. So, and that's where I'm going to settle, I think, at the moment, just for weight and that sort of stuff. But I wasn't doing any more. So, interestingly, in the 121, because obviously as you add each of the flags, as each of the dragons, you get obviously the bonus from each ship. You get the explosive damage protection. You obviously and the other buffs as well. But obviously, by having more ships in there, because it's splash damage, you're taking more damage as well, which is quite interesting, really, to be honest. So I noticed that whether I put 2 ships in or 3 ships in, or actually 4 ships in, I was still getting an hour and a half damage, which was really random, even with the same stuff. That wasn't the situation of the 120. The 120, the sweet spot is definitely to have a flagship and 4 ships, or that's how I found it. And I managed to do it for 46 minutes today. And my flagship obviously isn't armored because I'm waiting for it. It's not ranked. But I managed to run a Steelheads crew. I also ran the Evade crew, which helped a little bit. Worst case scenario, I got an hour and 15. Best case scenario, I could say, was 46 minutes. So I put a video up. I haven't put the times for repair because the fleet's not finished and that stuff. But it just gives people a rough idea. But I found a reasonable path that seemed to work quite well. But it was good fun. I haven't got into the Blitz target yet because I can't think why you'd want to blitz the FM and spend money doing that, personally. But I'll have a look at the target. But yeah, not really mine type of thing. But it's nice. Extra points. And if this is how they're going to keep them, they're not going to do anything else. As far as I'm concerned, goodbye 117. We'll never see you again. And I won't miss you as it stands so far. Targets themselves then. The encouragement to go in and hit these dumb things. We'll talk about the negatives in a minute. But the encouragement to go and hit these things, obviously, is if you hit the 121, obviously you get a piece of a shard, which is nice, and the same for the 120. 2 different things altogether. One is obviously for the missile, one is obviously for the scatter, and that's obviously for your mantis. I take it this will probably change throughout the year. I'm not sure how many parts it is, but is it 5? Probably it's 5 for each one. But you get shards anyway. So have a look in your limited store, click onto the last tab, look in shards, obviously on your limited blueprints, and you'll see what you're getting if you're getting any at all. And yeah, again, same as the FM, same as the raid, the locator button's there. So it will take you from that screen straight to the closest target, which is something new they did and started, obviously, in this raid that's just passed. So we've got a couple of pictures. So that's the 120 target. Like I said, it gives you a shard if you complete it for obviously the missile. As we all guessed, there is only access to this target. Okay, garrison tiers. Unfortunately, you cannot take in the Savage Kodiak anymore. You sort of guessed that was going to be the case. No one knew it was confirmed, but it's definitely confirmed because we all tried it and it didn't work. So,
yep. And Venom posted, and thanks for that. Apparently, and we did hear this, there were some issues with entering into the 120s and the 121 where the AI would stick one of your fleets or beach one of your fleets. So apparently,
yeah,
it looks like they're pulling those targets for stuck fleets, and so they're saying not to hit those right now. I'm assuming if you're driving, you still can, but they will be pulling those to reset that. I don't know if that's going to correct the other autoing issues for the lower targets, but at least they're addressing that.
Yeah, it's interesting. That I mean, when I was doing the 121s at the start, I was letting I was pressing up arrow and then S, and then letting the dragons go off by themselves, whether it was 2, 3, or 4, and then I was then hitting button 1, and then I was just driving behind the flagship, just keeping inside the aura range, so it had the aura effect, the 120 range, and that sort of stuff. But I drove that manually behind and followed them basically. So it's not a true auto target, but the ships didn't get stuck when I was on that partial auto. But I know, because I did see what happened to Venom's fleet, and it split, and then it just sat there, and he couldn't move them. So yeah, hopefully that just goes away.
That's interesting. So you were sending off. You're sending off your, let's say you've got 4 in 1. You're sending off your 4 dragons on auto. Yep. You're stopping the Greta, and then you're driving just the Greta behind and keeping the other dragons inside the ring, but keeping the Greta back some.
So the Greta gets no damage.
Nice.
And that's in my video that I've put up today.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, and it's got no armor on it. So if not, it would have got smashed to pieces. So It's something I thought about, and I thought to myself, well, if we haven't got the full range across the whole battle screen of that 50% penetrative buff, then how else can we do it? Well, the simple answer is stay inside the 120 range. And if you don't want to take any damage, then just stay behind. So I did manage to drag it behind in the target. It seemed to work quite well. Anyway,
Yep.
so...
And Carl actually just posted in chat that apparently they have already corrected them, so ignore that.
Oh, super. Yeah. Good news. Right. Anyway, so that's the 120. Like I say, you get a shard for the missile. I take it it's the Stinger missile. It's probably not the limited one. Take it it's the Stinger. I'm not sure. We'll have a look. Or is it the limited one? Because the second one is actually it's for the cheetah, so it must be the limited one, which I can't remember what the name is, to be honest, off the top of my head. Do you remember, Robin? The limited missile? It's not the
Predator.
Predator, that's it. So it must be for the Predator. Right, which are great fun when you slap them all over your ships, because I did mine, Mantis. Sorry, I did my my Phoenixes, and they are blisteringly quick now, for considering what they are. They're quite good fun. Yeah, this is a 121. I like this target less, I have to say. There's too many big gaps on the outer ring for autoing, because the ships go absolutely over the place. But I'm sure we'll get it down to a pattern. This one actually, sorry, going back to this one here, it's quite good, because you've got a nice sort of like U shape. If you look at sort of like 2 to 3 o'clock, you can go around the outside, and then you can just literally do a horseshoe. Doesn't matter which way you go, clockwise or anti-clockwise, and you can just go around the inside again, and then you're finished. So it's quite nice. Whereas the other one's a little bit messy. It's the same concept, but it just seems to be like more turrets are shooting at you from different directions, and there's lots of little bug ships.
Well, I know they've restricted the Savage Kodiak, but I also know there are a bunch of players that are building their Dragon fleet. So I'm wondering if you're able to take any of those platforms without the Greta.
I saw somebody using 5 standard dragons, and he didn't do bad, actually. Did quite reasonable. So you don't have to have the flagship, and yes, you can do them. Definitely. I think he got like 2 hours damage, I think it was what he posted. For five ships, yeah.
Not for the first day of a brand new target.
Yeah, and he hadn't changed his armor either.
So still running the charge. So yeah, so the opportunity to pull out and recharge as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. This one's yours. I'll let you have this one.
Oh yeah, I just. And somehow that's at the top. I'll have to fix that. I got the wrong slide in here. Anyway, there was some confusion about which targets were staying, which targets were going. And how long we had for them, and I had misspoke in that somebody gave me last night, and so I actually sat down there and did this. But there are some of the targets are going, not all of them, and they're not all going at the same time. So we've got, obviously today we've got the 121 and the 120. Those are new starting today, and they of course will be staying with us. The 117 is going to stay with us through July, and then the middle of August that will be gone forever. The new target, which is supposed to be the replacement / interim target for 112, that will be starting in August. And then, of course, that will stay. And then the 112 is with us until the September FM, and then that is gone. And they're also adding the 105 Blitz target as well, which will started today, and then that'll stay with us. So, and I apologize. I will fix that typo up there with that extra cell up there.
I didn't clock it, I must admit. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. I was just trying to get it out there because they switched it on me from the original thing. But so anyway, that's up on the page. You can share that with your alliances. If it's not on here, it's not being changed. There were a lot of people that, and myself included, that thought the 111 was going away. It's not. So if you are building your dragons while you're still using your icebreakers, you are still going to be able to do your FM the same way. The lower targets, of course, you'll also still be able to do as well. We have heard that there is some autoing issues. I know that that's been passed up and being looked into. But if you're not hitting the elite targets, then you should not see any change to the way that it behaves.
Yeah, I mean, it's early days yet, and it's the first reiteration of seeing these targets. 600k. Okay, and you get obviously a shard piece for those that didn't manage to get into the lock store. It's an enticement into getting to hit these new targets. If you're going to be autoing, if that's the way you are, and you want to just use the BP app and do a couple and then fix because you're at work and that sort of stuff, I'm already hinkering towards the 120. I think that's going to be a better target. It just seems that the outer ring has more blocked off areas, which means that the ships are likely, not 100% guaranteed, because when you use the app, you don't know which way you're going into the target, but I think you're going to have more chance of it going around the outside first as opposed to going straight for the center and taking damage from left and right. What that, in fact, I might do one later on. I might just press it on auto and see how much damage I get. The problem is the flagship's not armored yet, so it's not realistic. But I think you're going to get better results. I think the times that people are going to get for these targets will come down. Well, they will come down because we'll get better and better at them. But so long as they don't up the multiplier on the damage, then I think people will probably end up quite liking these targets quicker than what they settled in with the other ones, to be honest. That's my gut feeling. But we'll see. We'll see. That might not be the case. But I think they will. I'm hinkering towards liking the 120 a lot, and I don't really care about the shards at the moment. So I could just sit and do the 120s on the BP app thingy. But we'll see. Anyway. Right, moving on.
Okay, so Kix announced this before the raid when they did the big announcement of the actual target changeover that we just talked about. They announced that they would be including the Inferno Dragon and its associated toys in the FM, and so that started with this week's FM. So pool 5 has the Inferno Dragon, the base hull, as well as the Twin Fire rocket. And then in pool 4, I'm not sure why that's there. I would like to have seen them all in there. Is the RFX engine. So if you didn't get it in the raid, or if you were missing just the rockets, or you're missing the engine, they are in the FM now, and so you can grind them out and get those. So happy to see that happen as quickly as it has.
Yeah, it's good, I have to say. The order's a bit odd, but the items are good. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
This I don't get. I'll put it right out there. I don't get this.
Well, that was a lot nicer than what Venom said when he saw it. But anyway, new armor, Zinthonite armor D5E, which is E for evade. Gives us a whopping 10% evade, a little bit of combat speed, a little bit of turn speed, but I'm not really seeing anything else that I like.
Now I don't have to combine D4E and D4V.
Oh yeah, because you do that all the time, don't you?
Yeah, now I can just they're there together, man. This is going to make so many changes.
Yeah, duh. I don't get it. I saw this like, what the?
See, if it was to be in line with like, you see how like D4M goes to D45, like the evade bonus would need to be much higher than that.
Yeah, and it's only 10% because they're giving you a speed buff, which means I take it you can outrun certain things like splash. That's what I'd probably saying, but it's a heavy ass piece of kit. You know, it's in line with the others. I get it. You know, they're all 489 and that stuff, but I wouldn't give up, you know, defense buffs now for a bit of evade. Not on certain ships, because most of the things that, like, you know, going into Tide Seeker targets and going into certain things, you know, it's all splash based. So
yeah,
you know,
and
area of effects based. You know.
Unless there's like, as sometimes is with kicks, there's something coming.
Yeah, we could have humble pie. You mean that's what we could?
Yeah,
have.
like we don't know.
Okay.
Maybe the next cycle is going to be crazy evade.
Yeah, as Venom just said, subs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like maybe the torps. You know, we don't know what's coming. But if it's a skirmish coming, yeah, we could be turning into like all evade and you know.
Well, and two, there's no restrictions on it either, so it's not like this is just for defenders or conquerors. So it's interesting. I'm not sure. Yeah, not sure where yet, but I
think the game's moved on from this type of armor, though, hasn't it?
Well, we're forced to with all of the deflections on the conqueror stuff, and then resistances on all the armors and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I think we've moved. I think it's just because this one there wasn't an evade one, you know, so they've just put it in. But yeah,
I guess it's always nice to have options, isn't it? And I think they keep throwing content and options at us. But
I just said, for the love of God, please everybody put it on your conqueror holes.
No, he said don't.
I think the game is kind of in a place where we are sort of heavily bogged down with content overload, like that we're thrown new items so frequently that if you know it's hard to keep track and keep current and know what's right to put on ships. So. I would like to see them like, and I'm not saying in a bad way, but maybe like give us a little bit less content and just give us the content we need for particular ships instead of throwing us these wild cards every now and then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the old days, this would have been fantastic on the old, what was the old big sub we used to have? I've forgotten what it's even called now. We haven't used it that long.
My Ghost Crawler.
The Ghost Crawler. I mean, there you go. It's got speed up because we always used that speed up armor, didn't we? And it's got turn speed, it's got combat speed, and it's got evade.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time in the game when like evade was everything, and you were maxing ships out with 4D4Es per ship. But you know, with weapons that largely focus on splash, like you said, you know, with turrets, you know, getting 100% accuracy and stuff. I mean, it's I don't know. It's not really. I don't see.
And defense bypass as well. I mean, you're negative 100% straight away. So you know, it doesn't matter whether you evade it or not. You can't defend against some things anyway because you know proto-tides. Yeah, great. Two things you can defend against. Everything else is negative 100%. So it doesn't matter how much evade you stick on. It's irrelevant. You know, 100% is 100%. You've had it. You can't mitigate any of it then. So
yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
so I guess we'll
wrong way.
See what that one is. Next one is a limited blueprint. This is the reinforced ablative armor. And this one, I'm not sure what the limit is and how many we can get. This one provides bonus explosive defense, ship deflection, and structure deflection. Weighs about 12, so it's not really too chubby. Adds 100 ship deflection. And what's the bottom number there, Mark? I'm sorry, I can't see it.
66 explosive damage defense.
Yeah, and so again, no restrictions on this. It can be used on FM fleets as well.
It's just not retrofittable. That's the only thing. So it's only 66%, and obviously, you know, the other ones, obviously, once you've R15 them are greater, but obviously you don't get the deflection stats. But it's dubious whether you're going to gain, you know, from the deflection stats as opposed to just having raw explosive defense from you know, the standard fits.
I think the higher defense stat would serve better than the deflection.
Yeah, hey, it's there. If you want to collect it. You're not forced to. So I'm not going to rush out and get this personally. But
actually, you kind of are because you got to claim something before you can claim the chest.
But you don't have to collect this one, though, do you? So
no, you don't have to collect this one, but you're going to run out of stuff once you've collected everything else.
Yeah, well, they seem to chuck in lots of like gales again, aren't they? I've noticed that's in every time now, isn't it? And the missile twos and that sort of stuff. So yeah. Okay. Anyway.
So yep, that's the new armor. And then the last thing, this is the assault rockets L93 CT.
Conquerors defenders only.
Yes, this one has split. Liam, you're a rocket man.
Rocket man.
I've yet. Funny guy.
Sorry,
I've yet to actually sit down and look at this actually, but I've been running CT rockets on my 2 onslaughts in my base defense for a while now. So I did not know there was a new rocket. Is anyone crunch numbers just in comparison to the original CT?
No, I've not looked yet. I have to admit. Concussive reflection's the same. You know, pass through's the same. Wall evasion, fantastic. So they're hinting at attacking with this thing. It's clearly built for killing guard ships because it's got a reason where it says that it's a trade-off for building damage for higher rate of fire and that sort of stuff. So
look at the salvo per reload.
It's the guard. It's a guard killer. That's it. I think that's the idea. But in flip side of that, then stick it in your guard, and it's obviously an attacker killer.
Yeah, that replaces that 100% replaces CT just because of the salvo, because the CT is only 3 salvos per second, and if you calculate in the over damage, it's 680 times 3, and now you're looking at 680 times 5. So yeah, I mean that massively.
Yeah.
Massively. I mean, it's what was 40% increase.
Yeah, it's a ship specific, isn't it? For ship v ship.
Wardens.
Guard and attacking fleets. Like I'll probably go and change my onslaught guards to that straight away. So it will benefit both.
Yeah. Okay. So a good addition, and as someone was saying earlier on, they thought it was the new rocket to go on, obviously the Dragon already, which it isn't. So,
and bear in mind also, guys, if that shares the same range as a CT, then you can get it up to like 119, 118 on an onslaught with explosive
scope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. What have we got here then? So D6CO. So yeah, corrosive defense 30%. It's draconian, obviously, as you can see there. It's the assault and generous is what this one goes on. So Yeah, pretty straightforward. The standard defenses, this one, 30%, they're all the same weight as ever, and the armor points, it's just the next one down the line, is it, to be honest? Limited blueprint again, obviously, so, you need to have 5 to make the fleet balance and that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, nothing exciting.
Yep, that was it for the FM. So new targets, some targets going away soon. FM now has dragon stuff in there, so get out there and get it and start building them.
Yeah, Lion's Mane, we won't say about it. It's on, it's running, it's a rerun. There's nothing really interesting there, to be honest. You can get a couple of ship build tokens, and if you haven't got all the parts, it's a really good way to get it because you use last year's fleets. So just roll with it. It's level 50 or above.
And drum roll.
Go on.
You can get 3 days of Manticore tokens.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
3 whole days.
Not if you've already got 10, because you can't. There's no point doing it, as somebody did on the page. They did it, and then all of a sudden that was it. Right, Robin, back to you.
Oh, okay. This is a message that was put out there from Will Harbin, who, of course, is the founder and CEO, Big Kahuna, of Battle Pirates. And this was a message that he posted on the forums. It's been out there for a couple of days. Basically, some of the high points. We're at the 7-year anniversary of Battle Pirates. Incredibly proud of over the years. Have been some exciting new factions, player tributes, and tons of emergent gameplay. But if there's one thing that they have said they've learned in his tenure, and that is complacency is death. And that's a valid statement. Fortunately, Battle Pirates has become a bog of complacency. A lack of diligence has allowed balance-breaking bugs to escape and go unnoticed for months. A lack of community engagement has caused us to lose touch with the speed that players can realistically progress. That's a very key point for both upper and lower players.
I think that's the key takeaway of nearly all of this, to be honest. But yeah.
Yep. Recognition of that is a big thing. A lack of planning has forced the team to wildly overtune stats, just a tad, targets and events in order to shoehorn value into new content, all because of complacency. Complacency isn't going to cut it, and it's time for us to right this ship. So what are we going to do to fix this? What I like about that, this is the first real thing that I've seen in my gameplay, other than his announcement that they were going to the paid support functionality where you had to spend, X amount to get support. So this was my first thing that I had seen from him. We know we've seen, messages from Kix before, but he's owned this. I mean, he himself has come out and said this. So, will we see change from it? I don't know. I hope that we do, but I just thought it was interesting that this came out. I mean, what are your thoughts, Mark?
I am taking everything with a pinch of salt. I have seen this report sort of thing done at least 3 times before. It's great for 6 months, and then somebody new comes along and you end up going down the same avenue again 6 months later. So whilst it's nice, it's been acknowledged, is it just put the cassette back in and let's pretend that we're going to do something? If he holds his word, we'll find out in 12 months' time. It's too early now. We won't know.
Yeah, I might. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go on, mate.
No, I mean, I agree with you both in different levels. Like in my 7 years of BP, I've seen more than 7 speeches, and sometimes it's hard to read it and say. I mean, reading it sounds fantastic. It does. But seeing it actually happen is a different thing, and I would. While it's inspiring to read, I would not be taking any judgment until I see it happen, because it's just another speech at the moment. It would be nice to see them change. I mean, I think BP's biggest flaw is the development team change more frequently than my hairstyle. It's just it's hard when a dev comes in every few months, and we've been playing this game for 7 years, and I would love to see them listen and improve. I really would, but I'm not going to be fooled by a speech. Not again.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, Liam, because you probably missed the beginning of the show, and maybe for others that also did as well and won't go back. The new lead developer, has introduced himself on the forum. He goes by the name of Wrong Thinker. And so he did post that, and he and Robot will be on Rampage Reports on Friday answering player questions. So we got another new one, and he has introduced himself. So, but
Yeah, definitely. And those that don't know Robot, obviously, you know, he works hard in the background, and he's actually a real good listener as well. And he may be frustrated as much as we are sometimes with the outcome of some things, but actually, he really is a person that tries to draw information out of key individuals that have the opportunity to speak to him. You know, my example was personally with countermeasures. The countermeasure situation from last raid to this raid, which was amended and then rich raid and fixed between the two raids and that sort of stuff, you know.
And bear in mind that Switchblades was Robot's brainchild, so you know,
just for you,
we have to give the man credit, you know.
Yeah, and that's some key points. I was just reading chat as they're going past. I mean, there have been some remarks about him being on War Commander and not, and you know, the same thing with GDR when he was with us. You know, there's only so much a developer can do. Ultimately, the buck stops with upper management, and we can say build this whiz bang and everybody will be happy. But if upper management doesn't see a value to that, then you know, it's probably not going to happen.
Develop what you like. You're not getting.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, I'm happy to see that he's engaged. He seems animated. He has already responded to a bunch of questions on the forum. I hope to see that continue, and I hope to see that they do listen. But the key piece of this that Will Harbin spoke about is that the other level has to respond as well.
Yeah, I mean, this year, you know, was a very prime example of the whole sort of speech scenario. I mean, at the beginning of the year, we had a big discussion about how PvP was going to balance and less pendulum swings, and you know, and I took that as great. You know, I've kind of gone off BP, but I'll get back into it because I think you're going to improve it, invest heavily, and bounty season 8 or 9, bang, PvP dies. You know, and I'm sat here for 4 months not playing PvP. You know, because the game's dead as far as I'm concerned in PvP aspects. So that was an example of me being fooled by a speech, you know, and I've been fooled by a speech so many times. So this time they better back that speech up because I'm not opening the wallet until they do, you know.
I've just said literally. I mean, like I said earlier, Liam, at the start of the show, literally, this is the 12-month point now since Robin's been doing obviously post-raid reviews and that sort of stuff. This is the 12th one, and we're on Bounty, and we've done Bounty 11 as well. So I think we pull this set of slides out this time next year, you know, and then we have a after-action review 12 months later.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Will knows himself, you know, that if Kickstarter as a company say something, then the community holds them to it. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I just hope that he means to back that up because whatever's said there, the community are going to hold him to that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, 80% of the population that plays Battle Pirates is in their 40s and above. They're not children. You know, they are grown adults with real-time jobs or have had full-time careers. So it's not as if you're talking to like 17, 18-year-olds and below who just got a, you know, an expenditure to spend and they just move from one game to the other. So
and I think BP as a community, you know, like the type of players that played this game are like addicted to the game. Like we're BP fanatics. It's not like casual players.
I'm not having about that. Passionate about the game, yeah.
Passionate, yeah. I mean, it's not like if you're a casual player that just likes to hop on a game, you're probably not playing BP because it's not that kind of game. It's like people that are really have stuck with this game over the years through thick and thin, through all their crap and through all the stuff. We're people that really like the game and are really involved in the community. And, you know, it's not like, you know, we've been around for a long haul. It would be nice to see them, you know, bring some stuff together and make BP great.
Yeah, and you know, and that's an interesting point because I was having a discussion. I can't remember who it was with the other day. You know, because there are the folks that are heavily into the game and, you know, every day 2 or 3 hours, you know, lots of times on the weekend, that kind of stuff. And then there's also a very big subset, you know, who can't give 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours to the game every day, but enjoy it and love it just as much as those that do have a lot of time. And so I think there's a tightrope that they kind of have to walk between in keeping, you know, the end game, I'll use that term, the end game player happy, but as well as keeping the, you know, semi-social player happy. And there's a lot of those players that are out there. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
What I would really love to see, like more than anything, is like I feel like BP certainly over the last 2 years has been a dwindling community. Like the player base has decreased, not increased. Like we're slowly and gradually getting smaller. And
the only thing I've noted, mate, is nothing in here says about bringing in fresh blood.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm getting to.
Nothing.
I like, if we could get this game to a point where new players start coming in again, and the community starts going up and growing, and there's new blood, like not just, they don't need to just focus on end game and focus on casual. They need to actually go to the bottom end and work up again as well, and make this a fun experience for players coming new into the game. It would be great for me to say, hey, mate, you know, a guy I just met at work or something, try this game out, you know, come and jump in. And he jumps in, has an absolute blast, and is addicted. But the way BP's been for the last 2 years, I wouldn't recommend anyone, you know. And if they can really focus on that new blood as well, then BP is going to have a much longer shelf life, you know.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, long live Battle Pirates.
Okay, and last but not least, they had one bug fix this week, and that was the fix for the Scorpion Shell Aura initial uptime not being affected by the Darkwind CIC. So I think that was when you first went into the target, and the first time it went off, it wasn't being increased. But that, I think, was taken care of during the raid.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that was the only thing that was in there. So a couple of big things this week, a couple of exciting things this week. Looking forward to seeing how the graphics work in the FM. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, so we're going to see how that is. Sorry,
I had to finish mine because I was doing the testing, so I smashed out the FN, you know, this afternoon. That's why I was like nearly late with the slides, because I was just like, yep, get it all done.
While Mark was out playing in Target, Robin was stuck in the dungeon doing slides.
I've got the app open just now, doing 120s on auto, and the damage is not bad.
Don't say what it is yet, mate, because people just call you a stinking coiner.
No, well, I mean, it's just 4 dragons. It's like the 4 dragons I built when dragons first came out. I've never refitted them or nothing, you know. So yeah.
All right, so 5 hours is all right, is it?
Well, hang on, no, wait. Let's have a look how much it is for instant fix. 5 gold. That's for 4.
2.5 hours or thereabouts. Yeah.
Well, that's not bad. That's not
without the flag, and
yeah.
Did you know the AI doesn't drive as well as Liam does? So
that's the main point, Robin. That's the main point. Obviously, you know, there's no way a computer couldn't clone this. It couldn't. You know.
Thank the Lord.
Thank God for that.
Subs. There's no subs.
Wouldn't it be good if I could be cloned and we could have like 3 of me arguing with each other on the show?
No.
Time to finish.
That would be a hell of a show.
Yeah, before we do disappear, I do want to thank those of you. Patrick, he posted some screenshots and some videos. There were a couple of other folks. I'm sorry, I don't remember your names. Yeah. But thank you for posting those early videos that are out there. We certainly appreciate that for pathing and damage. And there's been a lot of interesting discussions about whether, you know, there's 3 pieces versus a full fleet. I would recommend, if you're not in the position to refit now, just kind of take a look and see what everybody else is doing, and maybe, you know, refit 1 or 2 at a time. Don't just slam out there and switch over to the new armor all in one hit, because you may not actually need to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Slightly changing topic. We'll put the slides up onto the page once I've passed them back to Robin and she's made that one adjustment. Yep. And then we'll post them up, so you can hold Will Harbin to account, because we'll put the slides up there for everyone. And we will come back and look at this in 12 months' time, so long as PP's still going, and we'll review what he said, and we'll take a look at it again, which will be Rue's 2nd anniversary of reviewing the raid. Yeah. I know, what a thought.
I just can't believe how quick it's gone. I mean, it seems like only yesterday we started Bounty.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Next month is the 12-month anniversary.
Yeah,
Bounty 1, that was the one when we had Rages TSM, wasn't it?
Yes, that was funny, wasn't it?
And like, they brought the gates out on the day the bounty started, wasn't it?
What a crazy 2 days that was, mate.
Yeah, and what was the axiom? Everybody got the axiom for one.
Don't even mention the axiom. Don't even mention the axiom. Running around trying to find bases without it.
Oh, yeah.
God.
But well, anyway, we're about 10 minutes past. A big thank you to everybody that joined us in chat. We certainly appreciate it with your suggestions, thoughts, and questions. And thank you to our internal mods for herding the cats and keeping everybody in line. And a big thank you to Liam and Mark for helping me out tonight.
No problem at all.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you all on Saturday, open mic.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Night night.